What's good with the YouTube? A conference perspective. It's your boy Flacco coming with a little bit of energy, man. I'm right here with Rojo. And as you
Yes,
guys have been
sir.
asking over and over again, man, you guys have been saying, man, do something on the out-of-state Norteños. Well, we're going to do a little something different, man. We're going to be discussing out of the country Norteños. And this is a lot more common than you would think. I'm going to let Rojo discuss an article. I received about 4 or 5 articles from an individual subscriber who lives out of this country, who and gave me a lot of information breaking down a certain Norteño hood out there in Canada. And I came across a lot of interesting stuff and a lot of background about this individual who actually established a Norteño stronghold in the country of Canada. Ro, take it away from here, man.
All right, man. Like Flacco said, man, a lot of people been interested. Norteños from Germany come up quite frequently. Mexico, obviously, there's going to be some. But, man, I never would have thought Canada personally, man. So we came across this information from one of our subscribers, one of our homies. And, man, like he said, bro, it's been widespread, especially since everybody's gone to the feds too, man. It's hitting other states because they're in there doing whatever they do and getting, new regiments everywhere. But, man, who would have thought Canada, bro? One of the whitest places on earth. You know what I'm saying? But anyway, this is the article, man. This is from Vic News. We want to give them their proper, shout out. But the title's Gang Associate Believed to be Linked to Norteño's Gang Facing More Charges. A 43-year-old Victoria man believed to have ties with the notorious California street gang is facing a number of drug and firearm charges. Now, the 43-year-old man was suspected of selling drugs and things of that nature, so they began watching him. And he had his little thing in a place called North Park, which is Victoria. It's not too far from Washington, if I'm not mistaken. It's up there by BC and that area. But
it's actually an island. I think it's off the.
Yeah. You know how they got all them islands right there on the north coast by Washington, and they also go up into Canada by British Columbia and Vancouver and stuff. And I'm pretty sure it's right there, man. But okay, this is what it is. On December 10th, police searched a residence in 1100 block of Empress Avenue. Inside, they found GHB, cocaine, heroin, as well as methamphetamines, a pump-action shotgun, a rifle, and a significant amount of cash and other items consistent with drug trafficking were also seized. All right, the target of this investigation is an individual by the name of Jason Sheena. And he was taken into custody and is now facing numerous charges, including possession of a controlled substance for the purpose of trafficking, possession of a weapon or ammunition contrary to a probation order, and possession of a prohibited or restricted firearm with ammunition. Police also seized evidence that links him to the suspected organized crime group, the Norteños. Affiliated with the Nuestra Familia, the Norteños are a street gang in Northern California with a presence in the federal prison system as well. Their emblems and clothing are associated with the color red and the number 14. It is used in tattoos and graffiti because N is the 14th letter of the alphabet. This isn't the first time police in Victoria have come across associates with this gang. Last July, an undercover sting targeting aggressive drug dealers around homeless shelters led to the arrest of 16 people and 19 counts of trafficking. Police said most of those charged were members of the Norteños, which have been growing vastly in Victoria. During a search of another Victoria home in April of that year, police found many pieces of clothing, graffiti, and other items associated with the gang. Now, bear in mind, this article is actually from 2014. So if there was a huge presence in 14, this is 7 years later, okay? The search was sparked following a report of a break and enter on Broad Street surf shop where $16,000 worth of watches were stolen. The suspect was caught on video surveillance and recognized by officers who realized the crime was tied to 2 other people believed to be taking stolen goods in exchange for drugs. Police tracked down the suspects at a home in the 1100 block of Kings Road. The Greater Victoria Emergency Response Team and Crisis Negotiation Team were called in to make the arrests. Inside the home, officers found ecstasy, marijuana, and property tied to the original break and entering, along with other buildings downtown. A bulletproof vest, bear spray, and nunchucks were also found. See, Not only these guys up there in Canada are Norteños, but it seems like they also might be ninjas. So, Cena was among the two people arrested. He later pleaded guilty possession of stolen property and the weapons charges, for which he received a 90-day sentence, but was given credit for time served. Damn, no wonder the crimes uploading out there. They can do whatever they want. He was also handed another 30 days for assault, and a court date has been set on January 20th on his later charge. Well, he probably got broke off on January 20th. Constable Jordan McKellen with the Combined Special Forces Unit of British Columbia said there are a number of well-known organized crime groups operating in the province, such as the Hells Angels, United Nations, Red Scorpions, and Independent Soldiers that have affiliates on this island. The Hells Angels, however, have a stronghold operating 2 clubhouses in Nanaimo and Campbell River. The gang activity that we see on the island is pretty consistent with what we see in other parts of British Columbia, said McKellen, noting that the island tends to have less violence among rival gangs compared to the lower mainland. Anywhere people are purchasing drugs, that's 99% of the time attributed to gangs because they are there to supply their street dealers and provide their customers with those things. Now, you can tell by this article that, these people aren't so familiar, with, I don't know, they probably know a lot about the Hells Angels, but as far as Norteños, they're what they say is very vague. The typical 14 is the end and all that kind of stuff, man. But, bear in mind, this article's 7 years old, man, and I'm sure they've expanded. You know what I mean? And Flacco knows a little bit more about the situation, a lot more than this article, because this article, you got to consider, it's probably some older guy writing what he thinks people want to hear. But, man, Flacco, tell him the real deal, man.
So you guys out there may be thinking, okay, how did Norteños get out there? Was it through the military? Did someone just decide to move out there? Did they just watch a YouTube video? This story is very interesting, okay? Jason Sheenan, a.k.a. Jose, right, lived in Sacramento for a while. He's of Native American descent. He was born in Canada, right? Came over here, I guess, apparently illegally, whatever the process it was that he came over here, right? And caught a case. I guess he was associated with the Norteños out there in Sacramento, somewhere, some high valley, something like that, some hood out there. And I guess they used to call him Little Bear. I guess in Canada, he went by Jose. So apparently he ended up getting deported California to Canada when he caught his case. And with that, he took the whole Norteño culture with him and started to recruit and started to lace these guys up. And what they've been doing out there, this has been going on for about 10 years. They've been out there curb serving like they do out there in the streets of Oakland. They're looked at as like the thug pushers out there. They're working for some of the bigger organization gangs from different research I've done. They're doing the debt collecting. They're kicking in doors. They're going through the homeless camps, right? Selling their dope out there. They're pushing the same hard line to control territories that they would be doing like a regiment almost. And the interesting thing about this story, right, is with this individual, whatever you want to call him, he goes by Jose. His name is Jason Sheenan, but he used to go by Little Bear in Sacramento, from what I've been told. He's no longer active. They deemed him no good. You know what I mean? He was out there on dope, J-Cadding out, man, and lost it totally. He's not the same person, man. They ended up smashing on him and deemed him no good, from what I've been told. And yet the Norteño movement still exists out there. Apparently, their hood's called VCL, Vic City Locals. Vic for Victoria and City and Locals. And I went through a list of a couple cases, man. They have all kinds of different races. I seen the name Nguyen. He got caught in a stabbing at the house wearing a shirt. And so they jumped him and they ended up getting a kitchen knife and ended up stabbing the guy. They got indicted, like I said, for the homeless camp for extortion. So they're out there about 30, 40 deep right now, representing Norte. And it's just kind of interesting because you always hear about, homeboys or whatnot that come over here and they become homeboys getting deported to Mexico and they start establishing hoods out there in Mexico, as you see today. This was totally reversed. He got deported to Canada and started his own hood. And now it's flourished, and now they're having a problem with it. Like from my understanding, they don't have no Sureños, but they're still out there representing Norte, man. They have their 1-4, they have tattoos on their face, XIV, Norte. They're pushing a hard line. So people have always asked us, right? how could there be Norteños in other countries? Well, we know Mexico and all that. That's pretty simple. They get deported. Uh, Germany is an interesting topic because you guys have all seen the Germany Norteños, man. And I watched a rap video where you had them rap in English, Spanish, and German. That was hella dope, man. That was hella cool. I've never seen nothing like that. And they dress in red, but they also had that. They almost look like skinhead Norteños almost if you looked at it, man. Like some of the stuff that they were wearing. And my understanding how they got established was through the military presence. You mean
it's almost a no-brainer, yeah.
You know, people go to the military, you know, a couple of homeboys, and they get out there and they end up establishing families, or they bring their families over there. And next thing you know, you have a hood, and people, the first thing people think is United States. You know what I mean? Colors. You know what I mean? American Me. You know what I mean? All these countries watch these movies, and they're the gang culture in California alone, not the United States, California alone has such an influence and impact on the rest of the world that it can go anywhere and establish itself, man. You have Sureños everywhere. I heard there's Sureños in Japan nowadays. Can you believe that? In Japan.
Hey, they got them. The Japanese culture has they have their own little subculture, cholo, lowrider, and they're out there doing it, man. They're out there rivaling LA with their rides and stuff. You know what I mean? It's a trip, dude.
Yeah, I mean, but these guys were operating like a regiment almost.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So I don't know if this individual got deported and went to the feds, got laced up, and was told how to establish it. I have no idea. I know that's how he ended up over there, was he got deported. You know what I'm saying? And from the looks of him, as you guys are going to see in the thumbnail, he's all tatted down head to toe like a regular Norteno. You wouldn't even know he was Canadian raised. So maybe he came out here when he was 3 years old, 5 years old, you know what I'm saying, and just grew up in the States, right? But is originally born from Canada. You know how that goes. A lot of people get deported years later. They go to school here, they come, their parents don't come over with papers, they catch a criminal case, and they have to get deported. That's the law.
Yeah.
You know? So I wonder how many other type of sub factions have been created in other areas besides, you know, I know South America is always going to have a presence, you know, and we just learned about the Germany situation. But this hood, from my understanding, I talked to someone who lives right there in that neighborhood. This is how I came across all this information. And he says, man, they're active out there. He goes, they're acting just like you guys do in California, or they're trying to emulate that. And they're out there representing it, man. But there's no Sureños out there at the current time, but that's only a matter of time before that happens. And another interesting case fact I heard was they're 4 hours from Yakima, Washington. And
they're banging out there.
Yeah, Yakima, they're banging out there, man. But this neighborhood had nothing to do with Washington, man. So I think that's kind of a cool little pipeline, if you think about it, coming from Washington to Victoria. You get what I'm saying? All that separates those two countries is basically a water line.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So that's you know, I can only imagine how much product would be going for out there in Canada, man. If you think about
you would think getting from the United States into Canada, you know, like as far as from a smuggling standpoint, would be way easier than it would be from Mexico to the US too. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah. We all remember when they used to bring that BC over here all the time.
It's all woods and stuff right there, all the way from like the upper peninsula of Michigan all the way to the Pacific Ocean.
Well, what's funny, right?
Right through there.
With Canada, right? We like me and you, even if you have a misdemeanor,
can't go.
A misdemeanor, they will not let you enter their country. So this is a unique situation where he has criminal cases and he has, like, you know, felonies to where he got deported. They had no choice but to take him.
Because that's where he was from. Yeah.
That's where he was from. You know what I mean? But that's extradition laws. You know what I mean? I just thought it was an interesting case, man. It just gives a storyline for the listeners out there to think about, man. I mean, you know, one thing is to have out-of-state Norteños, and it's the same thing with out-of-state Norteños. The same type of theory happens is you have certain homeboys who come over here, maybe they're born, they start to establish a hood, maybe their dad moves out there, you know, older homeboys, and what ends up happening, they bring their family with them. They bring their cousins, they bring their primos, and they end up running into other raza that comes from different areas, and they co-connect. And what they start to do is establish a Norteño presence in these communities. That's how Washington got. Washington's had Norteños since the 70s. And what people don't realize, man, is a lot of that has to do with a lot of NF members who actually moved up there to set up shop in the late 70s. Because the NF just didn't have a presence just in California. People don't realize. They used to kind of migrate into different areas and try to go incognito. The same way that they had undercover NF members in the 70s and 80s, they had undercover regiments that were occurring back then that people didn't know anything about. They were already practicing the bonds alone in Washington back in the 1980s. They already had them and were implementing that. I mean, same thing in all these other states. Now it's transformed a little bit different because with all the presence of the fellas in the feds, now they're also recruiting people.
Yeah.
So you know what I mean? So they're starting to pull from different sections and different factors and different crews and different cliques, and they're lacing these individuals out there, and they're able to take that, you know, that North Day cause or whatever they want to call it out there and represent it, man.
Yeah, I've got messages from Northerners in Indiana, Nebraska, Mississippi, Florida, Texas, New Mexico, Oregon, Washington, and Montana that I can think of off the top of my head. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
we're out here putting it down, you know what I mean? Whatever, you know, however they told me, you know, their personal situation. I don't want to reveal too much so people figure out who they are. But man, gangs migrate everywhere, man. All it takes is a family to move, somebody to have a girlfriend and go move with her. It's real easy, you know, especially in them little communities where there's not a lot established already. They go out there, they're the top dog because they're from California. People automatically gravitate to what they're saying because they're so, you know, glamorized in pop culture and California gangs, et cetera, et cetera. It makes it easy to set up shop.
Well, people don't realize though, this happened a lot too. A lot of dropouts who didn't want to leave that lifestyle have moved out of state and tried to still live in that same life.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Actually, I mean, excuse me. Still trying to go out there out of state, trying to represent, man, and push the line like they're still a criminal. You know what I'm saying? And that's the whole thing that, man, like, it's just interesting, man. I mean, just
No
the
doubt.
attraction.
Yeah.
The attraction.
I never would have expected Canada, bro. That would have been the last place. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I had to run this, man. I thought that this was something that was totally different, man, and something that we had to touch base on because you never hear about it. You know what I mean? Like Canada. I mean, that just goes to show, like, when you hear rumors out there, you know, when I first heard about Germany, I didn't believe it. German Nortenos, what the hell are you talking about? I turned on a video. I seen these guys, man.
Yeah, no doubt.
They were wearing all red, but they almost look, you know how the Germans have that skinhead look?
Yeah. They look like me. They look like me.
No, the boots, you know the boots that they wear and all that. These dudes were wearing that as Nortenos with red suspenders and stuff. And I was like, oh wow, man, they got their own little stilo, man.
Hey, if there's any Northerners listening to this from out of country, man, hit us up, man. We'd like to hear what you're talking about and how things go down there. Hit us up at A Convict's Perspective, leave a comment, or hit us up on Instagram, A Convict's Perspective, direct message us, man. We'd be curious to hear, you know, what you guys, you know, your get down is out there, man. That'd be, the viewers would like to know that, I'm sure.
But as always, man, remember, man, our message is about change, man. We're about trying to help people, you know, that you know, stop the gang stigma and stop the gang culture and stop that gang influence, man. So when we do these videos, man, that's our whole focus, man, is to help people out there that are struggling in their lives to create change. You know what I mean? And at the same time, let Rojo be entertaining because you know he got jokes.
Hey, also one thing, as far as that message that Flacco was talking about, I've seen people say about this next fight that's coming up, how is this about Rasa? This is about entertainment. This isn't about any kind of gang stuff, any kind of animosity. We're trying to offer the viewers things that they've asked about. Everybody wants to see Boxer use them hands. Everybody wants to see Savage, see if he backs up the stuff he says. Whatever the case may be, our message isn't changed. Obviously, you know, we were just down in LA, all that stuff, everything is all good. And I have all those guys down there's phone numbers, plus another 20 or so that I met while I was there, active and non-active. With that said, we're just trying to provide entertainment. That's all this is. There's no subliminals, there's no animosity, there's nothing like that. It's just an event for you guys to enjoy, 100%. Our message is always going to be on the same lines as these end of hostilities expanding. That's our message, 100%. No matter what we present, whether it's a boxing match, whether it's live in downtown, whatever, talking to some homeless people, our message will not change. I just wanted to make that clear.
Thank you.
With that said, it's your boy Rojo, Big Flacco, and we'll catch you in a little bit. Much love and respect.